Little is known about both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, both of which continue to remain mysteries. Each affects 1% of the world's population that is treated with strong medication. Moreover, both can be very debilitating. For instance, bipolar sufferers experience extremes of mood, both depression and mania, hence the previous name manic depression once used to describe this illness. Schizophrenia is associated with hearing voices, chaotic thoughts, and paranoia. There is no known cure for either one. Renaissance philosophers of the 17th century generally agreed with nativists regarding the human brain. However, many tried to show the structure and functions of the brain graphically by mapping it. But empiricist philosophers also had very important ideas. According to David Hume, the internal representations of knowledge are formed by obeying particular rules. These creations and transformations take time and effort, but they have actually served as the basis of much the current research in cognitive psychology. Reading about any culture foreign to one's own tends to create a form of culture shock in the reader. In a world literature class, students frequently face texts that are different and completely unfamiliar to them, and the typical culture shock reactions set in. We tend not to like things that we do not understand, in part because we do not like the feeling of not knowing something. Providing sustainable solutions to the problem of a dwindling supply of a non-renewable resource such as minerals seems contradictory. Nevertheless, it is extremely important to consider strategies that move towards sustainability even if true sustainability is not possible for most minerals. The general approach towards mineral sustainability should include mineral conservation at the top of the list. Moreover, there is a need to maximize exploration for new resources while minimizing the environmental impact of mineral mining and processing. The oceans are a main part of the climate system. They cover about 71% of the Earth's surface, and soak up about twice as much of the sun's radiation as the atmosphere and surface of the land. Ocean currents move huge amounts of heat across the planet, approximately the same amount as the atmosphere does. Winds move parallel against the sea surface and drive ocean current patterns. The El Niño event in the Pacific Ocean can influence climatic conditions all over the world. Much of the heat that escapes from the oceans is in the form of water vapor, the most copious greenhouse gas on Earth. Yet, water vapor also contributes to the formation of clouds, which shade the surface and have a net cooling effect. When a volcanic eruption takes place, it throws out large amounts of sulfur dioxide, SO2, water vapor, dust and ash into the air. Millions of tons of sulfur dioxide gas can reach the upper levels of the atmosphere, called the stratosphere, from a major eruption. Sulfur dioxide combines with water and forms tiny droplets of sulfuric acid. These droplets are very small and stay in the air for several years. They efficiently reflect sunlight and screen the Earth's surface from some of the energy that would normally be received from the sun. Volcanic eruptions minimize the amount of solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface, thereby lowering temperatures in the lower levels of the atmosphere, called the troposphere, and changing atmospheric circulation patterns. Depression is a state in which a person is expecting what is called a depressed mood. This can involve sadness, feelings of negativity, melancholia, and/or intense sorrow. Now we all suffer from depression from time to time, But a person with desperation will typically suffer for at least 6 months, and this will affect most areas of the person's life. The person will often feel a lack of energy, ability, profound sadness, difficulty with concentration, increased or reduced appetite, altered sleep patterns, apathy, and a lack of trust in the things which a person would normally find interesting. Our volunteers also provide disaster relief. While volunteers in our other services work irregularly, those who volunteer in disaster relief spend at least 1 day a month in planning and developing strategies for assessing the community during times of disasters, such as earthquakes and floods. For instance, last year, during the Hoop wildfire, the Red Flag volunteers were on the front lines assisting residents through evacuations, setting up and running shelters, offering counseling, mobilizing and allocating resources and supplies, and a wide variety of other services. Now, let's consider acrylic painting. These paints are reliably modern and use a water-soluble acrylic polymer as the binding agent. In terms of solvent, it's water. The main advantage is that these paints dry very quietly and can be used to build up thick layers of paint in a relatively small time. However, the colors can subtly charge as it dries. This, unfortunately, makes acrylics less suitable for painting portraits or other projects where the color needs to be curated, for example, photorealistic painting. Some flowers and leaves on a plant exhibit heliotropism or movement towards the sun during day and night, and this movement is prompted in these plants and leaves by potassium ions that help them to turn. Some plants follow the movement of the sun during the day, and follow the opposite trend during the night until the sun comes back and the cycle starts again at the dawn, bringing smooth movement of the flowers and the trees.